Hello guys, this is JoAnn speaking here, and welcome to the very first official episode of the Mega Edition of Paleo Reviews, where I review stuff that has zero relevance to dinosaurs. I am finally going to talk about Prehistoric Planet Ice Age, which came out in late November 2025. I deeply apologize though that it took so long to go over this. Outside my semi-hiatus, there were other problems I battled, including having to redesign a logo for a review like this one, and getting a microphone that works properly. This is so cliched at this point to say this, but better late than never. But I got what I needed and I'm ready to dive in. Oh, and there will be spoilers, so if you hate spoilers, it's probably not a good idea to watch this before you watch the documentary. Ice Age, not to be confused with the animated movies, is the third season of Prehistoric Planet. Unlike seasons 1 and 2, where it takes place 66 million years ago, Ice Age takes place years after the death of the dinosaurs, particularly the Pleistocene era. There's numerous amounts of extinct Cenozoic animals, both well-known and obscure, while it occasionally follows a family of woolly mammoths. Instead of David Attenborough, Tom Hiddleston narrates this season. I've always wondered how Prehistoric Planet would have tackled the Triassic and Jurassic period. To be fair, I've been told there are some setbacks on due in those eras, considering the filming locations and other things. However, when it was announced that Prehistoric Planet was going to tackle the Ice Age, I was surprised. I didn't anticipate they would make that decision, but it's still a welcome one. I think it's a smart idea to go for the Ice Age era, given these animals are in need of a more proper documentary, while also introducing other animals that are not very well known. I don't mind taking a break from dinosaurs anyways with this season, because this show went over the late Cretaceous period twice already. Just like the dinosaurs before them, the Cenozoic animals deserve the recognition. I may be more of a dinosaur fan, but that doesn't mean I'm going to shrug off Cenozoic animals and move on. I have a huge amount of respect for these animals. They're always fascinating, and they are the blueprints of the animals that are here with us today. Watching this documentary can make you wonder what it would be like to see these animals out in our world today, much like the dinosaurs. The first thing I like about this documentary are the visuals. Once again, Prehistoric Planet nailed it on the visuals for this season. Heck, there's even more detail on these animals as well. The animals look gorgeous to look at in CGI, whether it be up close or in the distance. There's also numerous moments where the shots look so colorful too. Another thing that was interesting to me was when this documentary series occasionally follows the same woolly mammoth family since the very first episode while it shows the other animals out in our world. I don't recall something like that happening in the other two seasons, but I thought that was a bit refreshing for this show. Choosing the woolly mammoths to follow throughout was smart, considering they are one of the most iconic animals of the Ice Age. It made me think of when season 1 started off with one of the most iconic dinosaurs, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Another thing I liked, the tar pits scene. I should have known this documentary was going to talk about tar pits, and I'm glad it did. This is one of my favorite scenes from this season. What I appreciate is that it not only showed how dangerous tar pits are to all animals, but it also explained how tar is affected by temperatures. If it's nice and cool outside, the tar would be hard and safe to walk on, but if it's warm, then it gets all sticky and extremely dangerous. I'm not gonna lie, this scene also brings back memories of when I went to the La Brea Tar Pits Museum many years ago in Los Angeles, California. And of course, we can't talk about this show without talking about the animals. We of course have the most well-known ones like saber-toothed cats, the terror birds, mammoths, etc. But can we talk about some of the other more bizarre animals? Examples including the giant otters, Erematherium, giant storks, and also the Prosoptodon. This season provides a reminder that numerous of these animals back during the Pleistocene era are really strange looking, but at the same time, you can't help but to wonder what it'd be like to see these guys out here in our world today. Speaking of today, this show also features animals that are here to this day, such as toucans, the Arctic fox, the bearded dragon, and the list goes on. In case you guys are wondering what my favorite animals are from this season, well, outside the Smilodon, my favorites are the terror bird, Gigantopithecus, Megalania, the direwolf, and Megaloceros. And last but certainly not least, I like the ending shot of the final episode. So the final episode ends with a distant shot of some humans watching the mammoth family walking off while Tom foreshadows the rise of humanity, aka us. I will say, I'm glad that this season did not end with any humans hunting down and killing any animals or mammoths. I mean, it was already mentioned that the age of the Pleistocene is coming to a close, And that final scene, along with the narration right there, is enough to let you know what is happening. Not every scene has to happen on screen, much like how there was no asteroid sequence in Season 1 or 2. While I really enjoyed Season 3 and seeing these animals in action, I do have one problem with it, and as it turns out, I was not alone after I did a little bit of research. The problem I have is that there were numerous times where the real names of some of these animals were not mentioned. When I watched this program for the first time, I was wanting to hear what these animals are, whether they be familiar or new ones. For example, remember the scene where it showed these giant otters? I was wanting to know the name since this is the first time I've heard of these guys, but when Tom just called them giant otters, I was like, huh, okay, I guess I'll go on the internet. Turns out these guys were called Enhydrodon. There are other examples too. I expected Arctotherium, but instead I hear giant short-faced bear. I expected Eremotherium, but instead I hear giant ground sloth. I was curious about the genus of these two small terror birds because I was so used to seeing the bigger ones. Now thankfully, not every animal on screen got that treatment, and their names were at least acknowledged. Examples include Stygiodon, Macrauchenia, Smilodon, Megalania, Gigantopithecus, etc. I'm not gonna lie, while a small problem, it is not a good look because it's obviously natural to give out the names of an animal or a dinosaur whenever they come on screen for the first time. And on top of that, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are wanting to hear the names of these animals, whether they are studying paleontology or not. It is eyebrow raising for me. At least in seasons 1 and 2, we hear the names of all the dinosaurs and other creatures for the most part whenever they appear on screen, whether it be the most well-known ones like Tyrannosaurus rex or the lesser-known ones like Machikosaurus. Now, if you're not going to bring up names of an animal, there has to be a good reason for it. For example, remember the Mongolian titan from seasons 1 and 2? Well, the reason it was called just that in the show was because it was only known from a footprint, so it wasn't given an official scientific name. My word, imagine seeing a Laurel Titan for the first time and David Attenborough just calls it a duck-billed dinosaur. Or when Pachyrhinosaurus shows up, he just calls them Alaskan ceratopsians. That's pretty much the only complaint I have with Ice Age. Now to dive into my favorite scenes. I would have put the tar pit scene on this list, but I already talked about that scene. One scene that nearly got me falling out of my chair from laughing so hard was when that baby Galactotherium scared a bunch of Columbia mammoths after it popped out of the water. To make it funnier, those mammoths thought they were seeing a crocodile because of their bad eyesight. These guys need some glasses. Another scene that got me laughing would be those two terror birds outsmarting a Smilodon in order to get free lunch from a dead Macrauchenia. I enjoyed seeing the giant elephant birds with the babies. I also liked the stellar sea cows and seeing the first appearance of the direwolves. Speaking of direwolves, the designs on them look amazing. To conclude, Prehistoric Planet Ice Age was very worthy of a season, and I had a great time watching it. If you're really into Cenozoic animals, then I highly recommend it. Obviously, I will take this over what Netflix's Life on Our Planet had to offer. This season has wonderful visuals and attention to detail, cute and wholesome moments, very solid narration by Tom Hiddleston, great music, and great varieties of animals. Prehistoric Planet Ice Age shall be given a 9.8 out of 10 sickle claws. And that concludes the review on Ice Age. Oh, and by the way, this season is a great reminder that bears are scary and they are not to be messed with. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later in another video.